You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, a fatal crash in Asbury, Missouri claims the life of an Asbury man.
And a brewery welcomes pups back inside after the state of Missouri forced them out.
And we've got a chilly start across the area, but plentiful sunshine. We also have some isolated shower chances later this week. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. A serious car crash turns fatal for an Asbury, Missouri man. Authorities responded to reports of the crash at around 8:30 Saturday night on Asbury's Main Street. Witnesses say the car was traveling at a high rate of speed, lost control, and left the roadway. The vehicle then struck a utility pole and then a tree. Responders attempted CPR, but the driver, 37-year-old Dewey Lewis of Asbury, was pronounced deceased about 20 minutes later on scene. Authorities have notified next of kin, and witnesses say the car was being tested as a race car. We've got a follow-up to a rollover crash from last week. This crash occurred on Wednesday around 6:15 in Jasper County when a car overturned about 6 times into a field and ejected the driver. That driver, 22-year-old Keaton Dickey from Oronogo, Missouri, suffered serious injuries. He was arrested for DWI, no insurance, no seatbelt, and failure to drive on the right side of the roadway. Dickey was thrown 100 feet from the car. He was transported non-emergency to a Joplin hospital. Authorities also respond to a crash involving a motorcycle and a truck on Walmart Drive and 7th Street in Joplin. The crash occurred Saturday night just before 5 p.m. Joplin police say the pickup was traveling south to east on a green light when the westbound motorcycle failed to yield to the traffic signal and struck the pickup. The driver and the passenger of the motorcycle were transported to area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. Police in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, near Tulsa, say a train derailed there on Saturday. Authorities say at approximately 8:47 Central Time, 2 cars carrying sand derailed. No injuries or hazmat were involved, and personnel was on scene working to re-rail the 2 cars. The cause is under investigation. Well, a small town in the Ozarks is in the middle of an antiquing controversy. It's a hot enough issue to land in front of a city council. Lauren Schwinker has that story.
We don't have a choice but to fight because it's our livelihood.
Sandra Girth is the owner of one of Billings' several flea markets.
The city and their friends and family members are the ones that are attacking us because they think this is unsightly to them.
We don't want a lawsuit on the city, nor you, nor an owner of the building.
Thursday night, the mayor warned all flea market owners that everything must be cleared off the sidewalks in the next 10 days because it's against city ordinance and state statutes.
And I cannot sit here and tell you that, yes, we're okay with you selling stuff on city property. We're okay with setting us up for a lawsuit.
The owners of the 2 stores, New Beginnings and Gone to the Dogs, say there's never been a safety issue and plan on reaching out to the county for help.
If you want to pursue the matter, you got until the end of June 1st, that's 10 days from now, to get it off, or take it to court.
It's something they plan on doing.
We've never had any complaints over the 20 years. We've had people in wheelchairs compliment on how easy it is to shop.
Well, we've got a chilly start for us across the area on this Monday morning, but we do have plentiful sunshine as we get started. MoDOT camera 20th and range line showing us that sunshine, and same from the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh, and the sun rising on our camera at 7th and range line, sitting at 54 in Joplin with a calm breeze. So again, a bit on the chilly side, but otherwise clear skies across the area. Still a little cool. 48 as one of the cool spots in Nevada, 49 Lamar, 52 Pittsburgh, 55 Neodesha, Independence, Miami, and 53 in Neosho. As we get our morning started, looking pretty good. Mostly clear skies, maybe a few passing clouds into the low 70s by late morning. As we head into the afternoon, clouds will gradually increase. Now out west, they'll increase a little earlier, but otherwise the rest of us looking partly cloudy, mid to even upper 70s for our afternoon highs today. And as we head into this evening, another chilly one back down to the mid 50s, but ahead of that, even under the mostly cloudy skies, we stay mild, looking pretty good. If you've got anything you need to do out outside. And as we look at the week ahead, we're a little warmer for us tomorrow as we go into the low 80s. We'll also have a few more clouds out there. And then Wednesday, and I want to go ahead and show this all the way through next week, Wednesday through at least next Tuesday, we do have low-end chances for some isolated to widely scattered showers, maybe a rumble of thunder or two. Through Friday, temperatures in the low 80s, and then through the weekend into next Tuesday, we hang out in the mid to upper 70s. And then after this all clears out, we stay mostly cloudy by next Wednesday. Temperatures, though, returning to the lower 80s. One of the good things is even though these chances are relatively low, most of us are honestly expected to be dry. So far, some of the long-range models for summer show that we should have at least slightly above average rain chances. So hopefully we can catch up a little bit more on that drought situation we were left with at the end of last summer. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Carthage Humane Society celebrates its 75th anniversary. The celebration had Zach Burleson and his band playing as community members enjoyed food from a food truck and bake sale.
We just wanted to have an event for the public to come out and be able to see all the animals, to donate if they can, whether it be food, supplies, or money. We're a nonprofit, so we're 100% rely on the public.
Raffle prizes were also handed out, and most importantly, adoption specials for the animals. Well, Pups and Pints are reunited. A dog-friendly brewery in Shawnee is welcoming pups back inside after the state of Missouri forced them out last summer. Betsy Webster takes us to the brewery where their passion paid off.
Transport Brewery's taproom started welcoming dogs when their operations manager brought hers in, and the canine camaraderie grew.
We've had, 22-year-olds making best friends with 75-year-olds because their dogs became friends.
That all stopped when the state stepped in last summer.
They brew in the back behind a locked door. There was no food preparation happening out here. So it didn't make sense, and it took a lot of the joy out of coming here. Good boy!
That's Bo's mom. She rescued him from a snowstorm and brought him back tonight for the first time since the passage of a new law that distinguishes tap rooms from food establishments. That after transport staff worked their tails off lobbying lawmakers.
Not only is one of our owners a brilliant brewer, but he's a lawyer that feels passionate about craft beer and dogs.
The new law does come with some new rules that involve leashes, hand washing, and stay off the couch.
You come here, it's like a community, and the dogs bring the community, right? So that's what we missed when it was gone. And then we came tonight, we hadn't been here for a while, and they're like, the dogs are back. So we loved that.
Up next, we've got Lori Horton back in Studio K as we continue to make those yummy pistachio pudding cookies.
And as we start chilly on this Monday morning, we have a pretty warm Monday ahead of us and a warmer Tuesday. We'll have another look at that forecast when we come back. But first, here's another live look from Mercy Park in Joplin in honor of the 12th anniversary of the Joplin tornado. We'll be right back.
Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Earlier this morning, our magical baking chef, Lori Horton, started making pistachio pudding cookies with us. Let's just kind of recap what we did in that first segment.
Okay, so we started out, we got all of our dry ingredients incorporated for the most part, and then we got creamed our butter, our sugar, all of kind of the standards as far as cookie making goes. So I've got my bowl here that's just got my butter, regular white sugar, brown sugar, all creamed together. I added my egg and my vanilla, nice and ready to go. And then this was just the flour, the actual pudding mix, the whole point of this recipe, right? And then our baking soda and salt.
Okay.
So all I'm gonna do now is kind of slowly, unless you like to clean up a mess, start to add some of these dry ingredients in here. And we'll get all of that incorporated.
A little bit at a time.
A little bit at a time. Again, unless you like to clean your kitchen or you need to clean your kitchen. And then once we have all of this mixed in, we're gonna kind of slowly add the pistachios. And that's just a little extra crunch, a little bit of extra flavor to that. It's not mandatory. The pudding cookies that I made over here with the butterscotch, instead of adding that, obviously, added some extra butterscotch baking chips.
Oh yeah.
So it changes up the dough a little bit.
Well, and we found out you came on a couple times ago and brought in just a variety of different baking chips that are out there now too.
It's crazy. You can really
they probably
go.
have pistachio flavored ones.
They probably do. I'm not going to say they don't, but you know, the espresso, the peanut butter, some of the really, really good ones on that. I mean, it's crazy what you can make as a combination of flavors. So you can change up your flavor of pudding, you can change up some extra chips in it or nuts, whatever works for you, and really go from there.
And you know, some of your kids are already out of school, some of them may be getting out this week, coming up with different baking ideas with them. This is a great activity to keep them from using that B word. I'm bored.
It's a good one, or you know, if it's into school, this is a perfect one to put together, throw in a cute container, and it's sort of that, you know, thank you to the teacher for putting up with my kid all year.
Yeah, don't forget that.
You know, that's always a good one you got to keep in mind. So now that we're done, I'm just going to take my spatula and kind of, you know, finish this off with a little bit of a final scrape here on the bowl, and then we're going to fold in those pistachios again for that little bit extra. But with this one, what it does, because we've got really finely ground.
How do you get them to that state?
Little food processor.
Little food processor.
If you've got a little Ninja, if you've got one of, you know, your little coffee grinder even works good with nuts. But I've got them pretty fine, so it's actually going to make my dough a little bit stiffer. That's why you'll notice on our green ones over here that they're a little bit denser, and our butterscotch ones there are a little bit flatter. They're not quite as dry of a dough when we start with because we added those chips.
Well, the pudding itself is going to keep it adds that moisture to it.
Exactly, and that's just that extra flavor because, you know, that's the fun part with the pistachio. Again, it's kind of an underrated, it's a forgotten flavor, and everybody, when you talk about it, is like, I love pistachio. I just never think about using it in different things. So this is a really good one to just bring that back out.
And if you're not a super fan of like the hard nut in your cookie and stuff, just grind it up even more, or like you said, leave that part out and just use the pudding.
Exactly. You've got those fine bits in the pudding, so you're going to get some in there, but not go crazy. That's why we're adding the extra.
Okay, so how big of balls do we need to roll these into?
So you can do these with just a tablespoon. I'm going to use my handy dandy cookie scoop because that just makes it nice and even. This is kind of a almost small ice cream scoop size, but whatever size you want to make them, we'll adjust the baking
We're
accordingly.
going to put these in the oven.
Magic of television, we're going to come back and then we'll sample.
Okay, we'll be back after weather with the final product.
KOAM Morning News, just now 7:17 on this Monday morning. MoDOT camera, 20th and Range Line. We're looking good so far. Traffic is moving. We got plentiful sunshine out there. And same from the KDOT camera at US 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. Plentiful sunshine. And as we saw just moments ago, traffic is moving. It's always a good thing. Our camera, 7th and Range Line, showing that plentiful sunshine, clear skies out there. 54 though, so still a bit on the chilly side with a calm breeze. As we look at temperatures around the region, again, as we've been saying all morning, it's been a cool start for us. We have 50 Fort Scott, 48 in Nevada, 49 in Lamar, 52 Pittsburgh, 53 Parsons, 55 Miami, and 53 in Neosho. We get our day started, mostly clear skies, maybe a passing cloud or two, low 70s by late morning. We head into the afternoon, looking pretty good, 75, maybe even a bit warmer than that. Partly cloudy skies as clouds increase across the area, and then we all go mostly cloudy as we head into the evening. Evening hours, though, still mild, nice evening ahead of us, but another chilly overnight for us as well as we drop back into the mid-50s. Looking ahead, a little warmer tomorrow, a little cloudier, low 80s through Friday. Scattered storm and shower chances. These will be isolated at best all the way through this weekend. Temperatures by this weekend, though, falling back just a little bit into the mid to upper 70s. Well, it's been 5 years since the Supreme Court struck down a federal law that effectively banned commercial sports betting in most states. And as Matt Napolitano reports, the availability of it in a majority of states has its benefits and drawbacks.
You may have placed your bets online, at a sports book, or maybe just seen the ads, but sports betting is certainly making its presence known across the U.S.
I'm hard-pressed to find an example of something that's moved so quickly through so many state houses as legal sports betting.
37 states and the District of Columbia have legalized sports betting following the Supreme Court tossing the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, also known as PASPA. But American Gaming Association President and CEO Bill Miller says bettors have been waiting in the wings for some time.
Before the Supreme Court decision, about 60% of Americans supported betting on sports. And in our most recent poll that we did, the American Gaming Association, 85% of the American people supported the decision on repealing PASPA and allowing for legal sports betting to happen in America.
But there are still concerns over gambling addiction, and more recently, concerns over college sports, particularly student athletes wagering.
I think it's really, really important that we treat these amateur athletes in a way that's respectful, and that we do everything that we can to make sure that they're educated with regard to what they can and cannot do as student athletes.
Now, the concern about college sports and wagering isn't limited to just players. The University of Alabama fired baseball coach Brad Bohannon earlier this month following reports of suspicious wagering activity on Crimson Tide games. We'll be right back after this, but first here's another live look from Mercy Park in Joplin on this, the 12th anniversary of the Joplin tornado.
Ever had.
Welcome back. This is always my favorite time of the morning. The segment in the cooking segments where we get to try out what we've been making.
Trying to make your Monday a little bit better.
Yeah, so Lori Horton is with us, and we've been making pistachio pudding cookies.
Yes, and we've got everything all set. We incorporated all of those dry ingredients, all that flour into our wet ingredients, and we made that dough, and it is a pretty dry dough, so I want to kind of show that a little bit. It's not your typical like chocolate chip cookie. It's going to be a little bit stiffer and drier, even if you're not using that pistachio and you're doing more of the chips.
So you actually used an ice cream scoop, one that helps you.
Just makes it a little bit easier to pop those out. And if you can see those, this is really magic of television because we have our unbaked dough here in the front of the pan, and these are ready to eat. So it's super magic. But you're going to see this. It's a very, very balled up. You can do this with your hands, just with a tablespoon, but you're not going to smash these down. You're not going to do anything to them. You're going to pop those in the oven just like that. And those are going in a 350-degree oven for about 10 minutes. So very simple. You'll notice that they're going to have just a light golden
browning,
regardless of the flavor, and like a little bit of browning on top.
Do you use the parchment paper?
These do much better on parchment paper. I think most drop cookies really do. It just gives it that barrier, and you always want to use a lighter aluminum pan. Your heat distribution, the darker the pan, the more heat you get, and that's where you sometimes get those cookies that are a little dark on the bottom. They still taste great, but they can be a little bit extra crisp or a little bit dark on the bottom.
Well, and when you're making a cookie that's such a light color anyway, then that color change when it gets dark on the bottom is super noticeable.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much with your chocolate chip
cookies. Sometimes it makes them look a little overdone when they're not. So we like to do that, and the parchment gives you that extra barrier. So what I've got over here is some I did with the butterscotch pudding, and I added some butterscotch chips, and then the pistachio, of course. And it's a good combination. So if you like a cookie that's got a little bit of crisp on the bottom, a little crisp on the outside, but that soft center, this is the one. These do up ahead really well, so you can do them a couple days ahead, keep them in a bag. The old trick works, so if you know you're gonna have to have them set for a minute, put them in a Ziploc bag, put a slice of bread in there. It's gonna keep them soft for you, but if you're keeping them longer, they actually freeze really well too. So pop them in one of those tight, Tupperware containers, throw them in the freezer, and then you can have those ready to go when you need them. We've got Memorial Day coming up, all kinds of things that you're gonna be going to, those parties for, so plan ahead when you can.
Yeah, it's a great use for that heel of the bread that
works.
Sometimes it's just a little too thin to work for a sandwich. So.
But it does work. There's some of these things that our grandmas taught us to do, or just did, and we didn't know why. That's why they work. They're worth it.
All right, Lori, thank you so much for coming on, and you can find this recipe on our website later this morning, KOAMnewsnow.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And these are delicious. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28. Members of Central Christian Center in Joplin enjoy the nice weather with church at the park. They gathered at Leonard Park 10:30 Sunday morning for the service. Encouraging word, music, and games for the kids were included. And at the end of the day, attendees filled up on hot dogs and hamburgers provided by the church.
Just being a part of the community and being outside. That's why we come to this park. It's kind of we're at Leonard Park. It's kind of an unforgotten park and just kind of small and cozy. but yet there's nice trees and stuff. So we just want to be a part of nature and be a part of the community and serve God at the same time.
The service ended in prayer from Pastor Hank. Miners Hall Museum in Franklin, Kansas held a special program on the founding of McCune, Kansas. McCune, a town of about 400 people in Crawford County, was founded in 1881. The grain elevator is the centerpiece of McCune and still stands to this day. The presenter during the event was Kent Smith, who has close ties to the community.
Those pioneers that settled the land. A lot of the people that were instrumental in developing McCune had also had a role to play in Jacksonville, the development of the railroad.
Program was free and open to the public.
Well, we've got a chilly start for us across the area. I understand Trevor, our photographer who's out doing our live shots from Mercy Park, said he's going to pour chili on me if I say chili too many times. But honestly, Trevor, if you can hear me, it's chilly. It's cool outside. But it's going to warm up, if that helps. And I'll warm up if he really does dump chili on me. Mostly clear skies through the morning, low 70s by late morning. We head into the afternoon, even better, 75, maybe even some upper 70s out there. Clouds begin to increase, going partly cloudy, and then we're all mostly cloudy as we head through the evening and into the overnight hours. A nice evening ahead of us, but another chilly evening. So we drop back into the mid-50s overnight. Warmer tomorrow, though. Lower 80s, a few more clouds. Isolated to widely scattered shower chances all the way through the weekend. Temperatures low 80s through Friday. We're going to get into the mid to upper 70s through the weekend and through Tuesday. A couple more opportunities for showers. And then by Wednesday, we're mostly cloudy again, warming back up into the lower 80s. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. Celebrating 40 years of motorsports in the Ozarks, the Ozark Region Sports Car Club of America Autocross event showcased a vibrant community of racing enthusiasts at a local motorsports park. KOAM Shagun Bamadali was there and has more.
The Autocross event, which took place at Crowder College, featured a challenging course specifically designed to test the agility and control of the drivers.
So we set up cones on large parking lots or airfields, and then we divide the cars into different classes, and we race around the cones, and the best time wins its class.
With its combination of tight turns and high-speed sections, the course demanded the utmost concentration and skills from the competitors.
It lets the drivers push their cars to the limit in a safe and controlled environment. We run one car at a time, so there's no risk of like fender to fender or car to car contact. But it's still a pretty exciting event to run.
One driver says the race is challenging and it requires a lot of focused attention.
There's some adrenaline. I think probably the challenge of moving at a really quick pace is pretty exciting. The cones come at you at a very rapid rate, so you have to use your reflexes.
The autocross format emphasizes precision over sheer speed, so safety is of the utmost priority.
We have a lot of safety parameters in place. We put our drivers and our spectators' safety first. So we're very concerned about making sure that everyone is here to enjoy themselves and can go home safely.
In Neosho, Shagbamdele, KOAM News.
More than 60 cars participated in the event. Well, some folks in Joplin spent their Sunday throwing axes. Main Street Axe Company hosted a hatchet marathon. Throwers of all skill levels were able to enter. It featured 28 matches and a double elimination tournament. Organizers say hosting tournaments like this are a great way to bring people together for a little fun.
Today we're throwing a hatchet marathon league. We're an affiliate of the World Axe Throwing League, and so a regular 8-week league season is being played today, all in one day. So each thrower today will play 28 games.
There was also a skee ball tournament at the event. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, we learn about an event known as March for Jesus that's coming to Joplin.
And again, after a pretty cool start for us across the area, we'll have plentiful sunshine through the morning. Temperatures warming nicely. We'll take another look at that forecast when we come back. But first, Got another live look from Mercy Park in Joplin on this, again, the 12th anniversary of the Joplin tornado. We'll be right back.
safeandsober.org.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Joining us in the studio is David Zinger, here to tell us about an event called March for Jesus. Welcome back to the show. It's great to have you here. So you were just telling me that the last time that this happened was in 1996.
1996.
So that's been, I was telling you, I was about 9 years old, so it's been a while since that's happened. So first tell me a little bit about what this is, because I understand this isn't just in Joplin, this is a global event.
Yeah, actually in 1883 in Britain, there was a parliament issue with prostitution with kids from 12 to 16 years old. So 343,000 people signed a petition in Parliament that stopped prostitution. So from that, in the 1980s, late 1980s, there was this March for Jesus in Britain that they chose to do. Well, 15,000 people showed up.
Wow.
And it was a rainy day and everybody still showed up. And so they marched for Jesus. So since that time, there's been worldwide at different events over 1,700,000 people show up in one day to march for Jesus. So each year we try to put together, which unfortunately in Joplin, it's been since 1996 since we've done it. We had 60 churches join and we had about 3,000 people show. Over these last several months, we've connected with 140 churches. Wow. We've connected with churches in Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. We've had phenomenal sponsors for Lamar signs and over 6,000 handouts. We've had great sponsors to get behind us to really promote this. We did the memorial run. It was just absolutely phenomenal. So on May 27th this year, Memorial Weekend, starting at 9 o'clock, we're going to gather at Main Street in Joplin, Missouri. We've got it all blocked off all the way to Landreth Park. We're going to walk with praise and worship and prayer. And then when we get to Landreth Park, we're going to have a praise service, and then we're going to open to prayer for our city and 4-state region.
It's just an excellent opportunity for folks to get together and as you say, get for that fellowship and maybe just get some prayers for themselves and issues they may be facing right now, because of course the last few years have been a little bit tough on some folks.
It's been tough for all of us. We're going to have prayer tents, we're going to have baptismals, we've got different area pastors. We're crossing cultures. It's just phenomenal, all that's going to happen that day. So we're asking everybody to be there at between 9 and 10. We start the march at 10 with shofar horns, and then we end up in Landreth Park for the celebration.
All right, David, thank you so much for coming in for us this morning. And of course, as you mentioned, this happening, as we just showed you, on May 27th from 9 to noon. And we'll have all this information on our website in case you missed it at KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll be back with more right after this.
In Joplin.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 7:41 now on this Monday morning. We've got a great start for us today, albeit a little bit on the cool side. Plentiful sunshine here on the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line, and plenty of sunshine on the KDOT camera at 69 and 400 just south of Pittsburgh. A great start to the day, and we've got these mostly clear skies right here on our camera at 7th and Range Line. But again, it's a bit cool. 54 degrees in Joplin right now with a calm breeze out there. As we look at temperatures around the area, again, cool out there. Starting to warm up though. Check out Iola, 58, 57 in Yates Center. These are some of the cooler spots this morning. 56 Pittsburgh, 57 Chetopa, Miami, 55 Neosho, and 54 in Carthage. And we will continue to warm today. Mostly clear skies to start into the lower 70s as we get through the late morning hours. And as we head into the afternoon, great day ahead of us. 75, maybe even some upper 70s. Now out west, clouds will begin to increase this afternoon. The rest of us, partly cloudy skies. And then all of us will transition to mostly cloudy skies as we head into the evening and overnight hours, but a pretty decent evening for us, still mild, but another chilly evening, or overnight rather, ahead of us as we drop back into the mid-50s. Taking a look down the road, a pinch warmer for us tomorrow, low 80s, a few more clouds as well, and then isolated to widely scattered at best shower chances as we go Wednesday through Sunday. Temperatures through Friday still hanging out in the low 80s though, will otherwise be partly to mostly cloudy, and then into the weekend we fall back just a little bit into the mid to upper 70s. That's Check Your Forecast. Now, here's Tanya Bach with a check of Consumer Watch.
All right, U.S. air travel hits a new pandemic-era record on Friday. The Transportation Security Administration says It screened more than 2.6 million people at airports nationwide. That number represents a 10% increase over the same day last year and tops the previous pandemic mark of last year's Sunday after Thanksgiving. The record also sets the stage for what is expected to be a busy Memorial Day weekend travel period. AAA predicts air travel will be 11% higher than the same weekend in 2019. Well, a group of TikTok users sued to overturn Montana's new controversial statewide ban that blocks the app. They allege the law signed Wednesday by Governor Greg Gianforte violates the First Amendment. Gianforte says it will protect users' private data from being accessed by TikTok's Chinese parent company. Other states have banned TikTok on official government devices. Montana ban attempts to prohibit TikTok from operating in the state and to block downloads of TikTok on personal devices, but it would not penalize individuals for using TikTok. The ban is currently set to take effect in January. Well, Twitter is going after Microsoft. An attorney for Twitter owner Elon Musk sent a letter to Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. The letter accuses Microsoft of abusing Twitter's data access privileges, including refusing to pay for tweets. According to the letter, Microsoft refused to pay to maintain data access through Twitter's application programming interface, or API. It comes after Twitter erected a paywall earlier this year to charge for data. Last week, the Federal Communications Commission shut down a company behind millions of illegal robocalls. Christine Lazar spoke with the head of the agency, who says more action is on the way.
They are the calls no one wants to get.
These calls are so annoying, and it's the #1 consumer complaint at the Federal Communications Commission.
Jessica Rosenworcel is the FCC chairwoman, and on Thursday, the commission adopted a measure that should weed out more robocalls.
To catch those behind these scams.
But she admits it's only one more weapon in an ongoing battle.
Does it feel like a game of whack-a-mole where you get rid of one scam and another pops up in its place?
Absolutely. All I want is a bigger hammer in this game.
The hammer could soon come down on call providers that don't meet the June deadline to implement new call authentication technology. Most phone providers have already adopted the tech called Stir Shaken, which validates a real call and stops fake numbers. But Alex Quilici, CEO of the robocall blocking app Umail, says criminals found a workaround.
Well, the bad guys went and got a bunch of real numbers. So the scammers have just kept going.
According to Umail, Americans received 4.5 billion robocalls in April. Rosenworcel says Congress needs to join this effort.
Do you think that you can get bipartisan support for laws that really come down hard on robocalls?
You know, in a day when a lot divides us, I think hatred of robocalls is one of those things that could unite us.
The chairwoman says updating laws created more than 30 years ago could help stop spam calls for good. Christine Lazar, CBS News, Los Angeles.
We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
You're on Fox 14.
Well, baby showers are a nice occasion for people to come together and celebrate someone or a couple having a baby.
However, one place in Wichita is having a unique baby shower for dementia patients. Bert Harry has more.
You must have been a beautiful baby. You must have been a beautiful child.
Each mom's experience is special, like a unique fingerprint.
It's real, it's raw, it's a moment that they get to experience.
When we were only going to go to kindergarten.
However, there are many experiences and feelings shared by all moms.
It's happening in their mind, it's happening in their heart.
Pearl Memory Babies visited Wichita Presbyterian Manor with a gift to enrich the lives of those suffering with cognitive decline and memory impairment.
Oh, you're beautiful. Baby. Oh, look what I got.
The moment they hold these babies, it brings back that historical moment in their life.
She's a sweet baby. A real sweet baby.
The babies here today from Pearl's Memory Babies is here to evoke those old memories of when they had children.
She's just the best.
She doesn't cry or anything.
This version of a baby shower, a chance to invoke emotion.
She is perfect for you.
Not seen in a while for many of these residents.
Little animals and babies, it brings joy to the heart.
Did you name your baby?
No.
And the joy comes from them experiencing the innocence in that baby as well.
That was incredible. That's really cool.
Keeping them active, keeping them happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's very important to do. As I mentioned, these folks with dementia, cognitive decline, it's important to keep those emotions going. And those things certainly do invoke a lot of emotions in all of us, I think.
For sure.
Well, we've got ourselves a pretty decent day ahead of us. We're pretty cool to start, though, across the area, but plentiful sunshine, as you can see on the MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, looking sunny and good. And same from the KDOT camera, sitting at 69 and 400, just south of Pittsburgh. See those long shadows stretching out there with this rising sun. Clear skies over Joplin right now, and again, plentiful sunshine out there. A little cool, though, 54. To start, we're sitting with calm winds, though, and across the area, starting to warm up in some locations. We're sitting at 58 Iola, 57 in Yates Center, 55 Chanute, 57 Chautauqua, Miami, and 55 Neosho, 54 Carthage. So not a bad start at all. And as the sun continues to rise, our temperatures will rise right along with them. We'll have those mostly clear skies to start, maybe a few passing clouds, and we'll make it into the low 70s as we head into the late morning hours. And as we head into the afternoon, we're looking at maybe even some upper 70s out there. Now, for some of our far western counties, you're going to start to experience those mostly cloudy skies as early as this afternoon. The rest of us will see the clouds increase, but will initially be partly cloudy. And then as we head into the evening, those cloudy skies begin to overspread the whole area. We all go mostly cloudy, but we stay mild at least through the early evening hours. So a great evening to get outside and just enjoy this nice weather. However, it's another chilly overnight for us, though. We drop back down into the mid-50s, and we have some isolated to widely scattered shower and thunderstorm chances as we head later into the week. So we skip on ahead to about Wednesday morning. We'll start to see a few of those stray showers out there. As we go through the day Wednesday, again, this isn't rain everywhere, unfortunately. It's just those scattered showers. They clear out by Thursday morning. They'll return by Thursday afternoon and evening, and they'll stick with us as off again, on again, stray shower chances all the way through next Tuesday. We'll have another check of your forecast and the news you need to know right after this.
A four-state hero.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities respond to reports of a serious car crash at around 8:30 Saturday night on Asbury's Main Street. Witnesses say the car was traveling at a high rate of speed, lost control, and struck a utility pole and then a tree. Responders attempted CPR, but the driver was pronounced deceased about 20 minutes later on scene. We have a follow-up to the rollover crash from last week. The driver, Keaton Dickey, 22 years old, from Oronogo, Missouri, suffered serious injuries when his car overturned about 6 times into a field just north of Kafer Road in Jasper County, Missouri, before ejecting him 100 feet away. He was arrested for a DWI, no insurance, no seatbelt, and failure to drive on the right side of the roadway. Neosho Fish Hatchery celebrates 135 years of fishing fun with a Veterans Derby on Sunday. Veterans were able to enjoy the nice weather while catching some fish. Lunch was provided for attendees along with a free t-shirt, and volunteers cleaned and bagged all catches on ice.
We've got ourselves a pretty nice day across the area, mid to even upper 70s. Partly cloudy skies by the afternoon. All of us turning mostly cloudy as we go through the evening. Stay mild initially, and then we'll get chilly again, dropping back down to the mid-50s for our overnight lows. A little warmer, a little cloudier tomorrow, upper 80s, or lower 80s rather. Low 80s through Friday. Isolated shower chances through the upcoming weekend and into Tuesday of next week. Temperatures mid to upper 70s through Tuesday, back to the low 80s by next Wednesday.
More than 150 people were killed and more than 1,000 others were injured when an EF5 tornado hit Joplin, Missouri, May 22nd, 2011.
Thousands of homes were destroyed, and the storm packed winds in excess of 200 miles an hour and was on the ground for more than 22 miles. To this day, the Joplin tornado ranks as one of Missouri's and the United States' deadliest tornadoes. According to NOAA, it ranks as the costliest tornado in U.S. history at $2.8 billion in damages.
President Barack Obama toured the community on May 29th, having been on a state visit to Europe at the time of the storm, and attended a memorial at Missouri Southern State University, which was about 2 miles north of the worst of the devastation. President Obama returned to deliver the commencement address at Joplin High School on May 21st, 2012, a year after the tornado.
Certainly something I know most of us will not forget. Those of us that were here for that will not forget that scene. And, and honestly, it's been an impressive recovery. The city has rebounded quite nicely, but still very, very devastating images you don't forget.
It's amazing how far Joplin has come. 12 years.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been 12 years.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Well, we want to thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.